I'm sure you've heard about the latest page builder for WordPress that's hit the market, Bricks Builder. If not, I would suggest taking a look at the video I released recently and it'll give you an idea of what it's bringing to the table. Now in this video, I'm going to show you one of the key areas that I feel Bricks excels at, and that's how easy it is to add in dynamic data from tools like ACF Pro, Pods, or MetaBox, which is currently running a lifetime deal over on AppSumo. Link will be in the description if you want to check that out. Now let me quickly say that this is not a design tutorial, it's about functionality. Okay, so with that being said, let's just fire up WordPress and take a look at Bricks Builder. So I've got a really simple setup, and I don't want to waste your time by showing you how to do all these kinds of things because chances are you already know what a custom post type is and how to add ACF fields. So what I've done is I've set up a simple custom post type, and we just named this recipes. So you can see that's all we have inside there. And if we go into custom fields, we open up the field group, we've got a recipe field group inside there. And if I open that up, at the moment, I simply have an image field and a gallery field. But obviously you can put most fields inside here. Now, it's worth bearing in mind at this point in time, you are still going to have some limitations on things like repeater regions and things like that. So these are not going to be supported right out of the box with version 1.1 of Bricks Builder that we're currently checking out. So please do bear that in mind and don't get frustrated if you realize that you can't get everything you want done right now. This is still a very early version of this entire builder. Okay, so how have we got things set up? I've got the normal WordPress fields for your title, your content, and your featured image. And we've just got a couple of extra fields inside here. Nothing particularly special. Like I say, a gallery and an image field. Okay, so with those things set up, how do we go about inserting this into a template? What we need to do is come into Bricks, and we're going to come into the template section. And inside the template section, you can add a new template. And so to do that, we're going to do a couple of things. First of all, we can give it a title. So we're just going to call this Recipe Archive. And we'll start off with the archive page first of all. On the right-hand side then, it says select template type. So we can choose a range of different template types. So we want to choose archive. Now, when we move on to the singular, there's one thing I want to clear up. There's no single kind of template type inside here. It's done under the content. Now, for me, I would prefer to see this as being set up as a sort of single post. So we kind of know what we're dealing with, the template sort of definitions that you're used to when you're working with WordPress itself. So I've spoken to Thomas, the developer, expressed my opinion on that. Whether anything will be taken on board, I don't know. But just so you're aware, content is basically your single posts and so on. Okay, so let's come into archive. And what we're going to do is we're just going to simply say publish on this. Now we can edit this with Bricks. Once you do that, we'll open up the Bricks editor and we can start using all the normal elements or widgets, whatever you want to kind of call them. Now you can see I've already gone ahead and created a header and footer inside here, nothing you haven't already seen before in my initial video. But now we can drag and drop elements in. So this is an archive. So what we want to do is we simply want to just do a search for post, and there's our post widget. So we can drag and drop that into our main area, and you can see that now pulls in all our posts. This gives us all the control then over all the different things we can style, how we can lay things out, those kinds of things. Now again, this is one of those limitations currently with working with Bricks. We can't create custom loop layouts and we can't insert custom meta field data into these. So for example, we can still reference things like your title for the post, the featured image for the post, those kinds of things, but we don't have any custom post values we can pull in this template. And again, this is something that I've spoken to Thomas about, so I'm hoping this will be something that won't be too long before it actually gets implemented into the whole Bricks builder. But what we have, like I say, is we have control over various different elements, so we can set up what post information we want inside your conditions and things like that. So once you understand these, the rest of it should become pretty straightforward. So post type, we can expand that out and you can see we've got your posts, your pages, and any custom post types you create. In this example, recipes. So we'll choose that and you can see that now immediately updates to show us the custom data that we want, not the default WordPress post data. You can set up your ordering, you can set up your order by, how many posts per page you want. You've got include options, so you can include or exclude individual posts or custom posts, whatever it is you're doing. You can exclude those, and you can also use terms. So if you're using tags and using taxonomies, categories, those kinds of things, you can reference those directly inside here as well. So you can create templates for various different purposes. That's quite simple and straightforward to work with. Your layout then gives you the ability to choose between currently 4 different kinds of layouts. Your list, and you see it updates for us in real time. Grid, which is what we currently looked at. Your masonry, and also your metro style. which in this example doesn't look great, but you've got full control over the styling of all these. Let's just leave these set to grid. And like I say, all your styling options, your image ratios, all those kinds of things are inside here. But this isn't a design tutorial. This is just showing you the custom post type things. Now, this is the field data. This is what we're seeing inside each of these loop items. And currently, you can see we've got the featured image, which is a standard. You've got your title, your meta, and your excerpt. And if we expand this out, you can see we've got a couple more options. So we can add a read more in here if we want to, taxonomies, those kinds of things. So if we say a read more, you can see that puts read more in there. And we can add more inside here if we want to as well. You can change the text. You can set an overlay value on there. You can delete these completely if you want to. All the options are there for you. And then we can also do things like make the image clickable. So we can say we'll link the image, and that will just set this up to use the permalink. And again, it would be nice to see more options inside here where we could fine tune what the link actually goes to. If we wanted to go to, for example, the permalink, or we might want to have it so you can click and you'll open up in a lightbox. Various different reasons, but it would be nice to have that extra level of control. Okay, so that's the basics of creating the layout. We'll just select this and we'll just give it a bit of space around there. So we come into our layout, we can add some margins top and bottom, or all the way around if we want to. So you can see we can put 50 all the way around, or we can just simply delete that, unlink them, and say we want to put 50 top, 50 bottom. Simple as that. Okay, so once we've done that, next thing we need to do is come into the settings section, and we want to come into our theme styles, page settings, and template settings. If we come into template settings, this is where we can set our conditions. So we'll open up the conditions option, and currently there's no conditions set. Choose the option, and we can stack conditions on top of each other. So again, this works in a very similar fashion to most page builders that allow you to do templating, elemental, those kinds of things. We can expand this out and say, where do we want to use this? Well, we're going to set this, it's an archive. So we're going to set it to archive. Then we can choose what archive type it's going to be. We can expand that out, and you can see we've got all archives. So it becomes a global template for this: post type, author, categories, and tags, and so on. So we click post type. That gives us a third option, which now allows us to choose from the post types we have: posts, pages, and our custom post type of recipes. We'll add that condition inside this. And now we've set the condition up for when this is going to be used inside our overall site structure. So we can just save this now. So we're going to come up and just hit save. And that's basically our template created. That's our archive template created for our recipes, our custom post type. Not a lot we can do inside there. Kind of still pretty basic at the moment, but again, hopefully these are things that will be expanded upon as the plugin, as the theme, as the whole builder actually progresses and moves forward. So I've gone ahead, hopped over to the front end of the site, and I've added the recipes custom post type into our navigation. And if we click, you'll see this is now using the custom template we created for the archive side of things. If we click on the image, that'll take us over into a template area that's kind of not been set up. We haven't configured that yet. So we'll deal with that now. And this is where we do get a lot more control over how we can insert data, what data we can use, the design aspect, and all those kinds of good things. Let's hop back into our template section. We're going to add a new template. We're going to name this recipe single template. And we'll just set this to be a content type of template, and we'll just hit publish on there. So let's just edit this with bricks, open that up in the editor, and now let's start building things. So like I say, this is where we do get more control. Now, if we scroll through, we'll find because we're creating a single post template, we now have a section of different elements we can use to reference typical data. So for example, your excerpt, your metadata, so on and so forth. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to simply drop in an image. Drag and drop that into our design, and you can see it's now asking us to either choose an image, browse Unsplash for an image, or we can select dynamic data. And this is where, if you ask me, Bricks really does shine when it comes to working with dynamic data. It is insanely simple to start referencing things. So for example, we can select an image, we can browse Unsplash, or we can choose dynamic data. And you can see that just pulls up all the dynamic data that we can reference throughout our entire site to do with an image element. So we've got featured image, the image for this part of ACF, and you can see sectioned under ACF, and also our gallery, which we'll take a look at a little later. So for this example, this is using the featured image option, and we can choose that. Now, nothing is showing up at the moment, and the reason being is it doesn't know where to pull the data from. So what we're going to do is we're simply going to save this. We're going to hop over into our settings section, into our template settings, and we've got populate content. Expand that, and you can see content type. We can choose from lots of different things. So we know this is a single post or page. It's not an archive. So we're going to click on single post page, and we're going to tell it where to look. in this example, what post we want to use. And there's my sample recipe, just has some sample data inside there. We'll choose that, apply preview, and that should now show things up. And you go, it'll reload the builder, and it should then show us the new dynamic data, and we can see there's the featured image for this particular custom post. So really easy to do, and you can now get stuck in and start editing all the various different features. So you can stretch this, you can set what you want to link it to. In this example, it's a featured image. We don't want to link it to anything. You can drop in captions, you can style things on this, we can adjust the layout and all those kinds of good things. Not going to worry showing you all that. You can get stuck in and design and display things how you want to. So that's the first part. What we're going to do is we're going to just select this section, and we're just going to give this a bit of space at the top and bottom. And excuse me, I've got a bad habit of jumping into the wrong place to do this. I'm going to set 50 top, 50 bottom. That gives us space above and below in the section, so that's pretty cool. So now we can just start adding in the extra data that we want. So let's come back and add our elements in. We say we're going to grab this pinned element, which is a post title. We're going to drag and drop that underneath there, and that pulls in the post title. We can style this, we can set the type, the style prefix, all those kinds of things, and obviously you've got the styling options then for everything inside there as well. So all really cool. Now if you're wondering how I've gone about having this little pinned element at the top, let me just show you how easy this is. If you're working with templates a lot, it can be quite nice to just pin the elements you want to keep on using at the top of the editor. So let's just say we want to just have this metadata. We'll just hover over any of these, give it a second, and this little pin icon pops up. All we need to do is wait for that, click pin, scroll to the top, and you can see there's our pinned elements. Really, really nice. One of those things that I think so many more page builders really should start doing this kind of thing, especially when you get a lot more widgets or elements into your design. Let's just drag and drop that underneath there. And if there's any options inside there, you can see it'll pull that data in. So we'll select it, and we'll just make sure everything is set up on there as well. So now we have all the options for what metadata is actually going to display: author, date published, modified, comment count, and so on. So let's just say you don't actually use comment counts. Well, we can delete that from there, and that's gone. You want to edit any of these, change them, add prefixes or suffixes, format in days. So you can see this was done 2 hours ago, for example, or 3 days ago or something. Again, quite cool. Want to reorder these? We simply just drag and drop these around. All really easy to do. Add more metadata in, click, and choose from any of the options we have. Again, I would like to see the ability to reference dynamic fields inside here, just to give us more control over what metadata is going to be displayed. But again, this is still a really early build of Bricks Builder. Okay, so that being done, let's grab the content now, and let's take a look at how we can add that in. So same thing again, we're going to simply come down to our single, and you can see there's all our options, our taxonomies, post content, and so on. So let's grab the post content, drop that underneath there, and there's our content. Style that whatever we want to do with it. All the options are there for us. So that's really easy. That's just referencing pretty much standard WordPress data. But we can do a lot more. We can come in and we can say we want to add a gallery in, for example, and this is a custom field that's done through ACF. So we're going to drag and drop that underneath there. We'll drop that in. You can see we've got all the same kind of options. We can choose our dynamic data, and again, we can just expand that. How easy is this? Click on gallery. Boom, job done. Our gallery is now inserted. We now can control the size of the image that's going to be used. We'll say we'll use this medium. We can choose whether we want this in a grid, masonry, or metro. All quite cool. Let's just leave this set at grid. You can choose your image ratio. Square, I think, looks quite nice in this example, but you can choose from any of the options that are there. And you can adjust the image height, the number of columns, and so on. So let's just set this to 4. We can adjust some spacing, put a little bit of space around each of our images. So 10, that'll do. What do we want to link them to? Well, we're going to say in this example, we want to link them to a lightbox. Do you want to add a caption? You can drop that, enable that option inside there. Really, really easy. So that's how easy it is to grab that kind of data. We've got some other data inside here. So we've got something as simple as just another image. So let's just say we didn't want to use our featured image in this example. Well, we can just expand this back out, and we'll just choose the image field. And that will pull in the image, which is just an ACF field inside our meta fields assigned to our custom post type. Really, really simple to do. So now that we've built our single post template, we've got all the content we want inside there, repeating the same process that I've just shown you, we can just simply come back up to the settings, into our template settings, into conditions again, and we can apply our conditions. So we're going to add a condition. We're going to say this is going to be an option for a post type.
We'll select that. What's the post type? It's recipes. And if you want to add another condition in, so you want to use this template in more than one place, you could do just that. We'll simply save this option and we'll just hop back out of this, edit back into WordPress, and we've finished working with that side of things. So now we can just hop over into our sample site. We'll refresh this page, which should now be using our template we just created, and there you go. There's our template, there's our image gallery. We can step through all those images inside there. You can see it's using the metadata, the title, the custom image instead of the featured image, all set up. Come into recipes, you can see there's our single recipe. We'll click on that and it'll take us through. That's really how easy it is to start adding ACF data directly inside the Bricks Builder. So that's the kind of thing you'd be accustomed to if you use any other kind of theme builder with WordPress that links up to dynamic data. Really good starting point from Bricks Builder. But there's more. We can also use content, ACF, normal data that you've got as part of WordPress inline. In other words, you don't have to drop a widget in and then just have the content from that custom field inserted. You can insert this into the actual content itself. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's grab this text section. And you can see this just puts in a normal text block. And again, very similar to what you've seen inside tools like Elementor. However, you'll notice we get the little lightning bolt. And what this allows us to do is insert inline dynamic data. What am I talking about? Let's delete that from there. And let's just say, hey, and I want to reference the name of the person that's logged into the site. So we're going to put hey space, and then we're going to grab the little dynamic icon. And we can see we've got things like post, author, site, archive, terms, ACF data, and so on. So we can reference data inside here as well. So we're going to say, hey there. Let's just put that inside there. If you enjoyed this post by, and we want to reference the author's name, the person that actually wrote this article. Click on the little dynamic icon, author, post author name, click on there. Puts this little short code, this little sort of macro inside there. And we'll just put, why not check out their other great articles. Okay, so we've created, we've created a dynamic piece of information inside there based upon the template that's being used, based upon the author of the particular item that we're looking at. So let's just save this. Let's hop back over to our sample page and we'll refresh this. Now at the moment it's using my sort of sign-in details, which obviously isn't what I would want in this example, but you can see that dynamic data has now been pulled in there. If we want to, we can reference that, so we could just highlight that if we wanted to, and we'll make it bold, just so it stands out a little bit, resave that, reload this section, this page, and you can see that now makes it bold. But you can reference any kind of data, anything at all you can grab. You can just simply grab the data from here, ACF fields included as well, terms, archive details. You can grab the title of the archive, title of the site, the author, the post title, loads and loads of data. You don't even have to select it from there. You can literally start typing this in yourself. So you can see we can just put the curly braces, author underscore name, close the curly braces, and we'll just resave that and just refresh, and you can see that pops it at the end of the section as well. So complete control over the inline content you want to use from dynamic data, and you can just simply type this in yourself if you want to as well. So you can get really creative using this, and you don't have to mess about with just sort of faffing about with things like spans and divs and all those kinds of things, and messing about with CSS positioning so you can have things in line with each other. This just makes it really, really easy. And again, it's great to see that from a version 1 of a product like this, we have that level of control and that level of integration with dynamic data. All I want to see now is some of the things that I think will take this to the next level. For example, we need to have conditions. We need to be able to have conditions inside there that say, if this field is empty, for example, don't show anything at all. You know, if you've got a field like area like this where you've got the gallery and you may have no images, then nothing will show up. But if you're using things like prefixes and suffixes and you want to have that as part of your dynamic content, you need to have control that if nothing is inserted into that area, then there's a condition set up that says don't show this at all. Completely ignore it. So that's something is really, really important I think we need to have. The second thing we need to have is full control over the loop. You can see at the moment, this is our loop, and like I said, when we took a look at creating the archive, it's really pretty simple at the moment. We can literally only include standard WordPress data. We can't include any ACF or dynamic data. So I really would love to see that. I've sent some information over to Thomas, one of the key developers behind the Bricks Builder, explaining, giving some examples of the kinds of things I'm looking at. I'm really hopeful that this will something that will include before too long, because I think once you have those kinds of things, then you can start creating great looking listing websites. And Bricks Builder from the get-go can be something that can be used for creating maybe not as advanced sites as you can create currently with Elementor and some of the tools like Jet Engine and so on, but it will be a great starting point and open up. And with the speed at which you can work with the Bricks Builder, I think this is one area that if they can focus on adding this in, it's going to be a real boost for this builder from the right at the beginning of its lifespan.
So that's how easy it is to get started working with Bricks Builder and dynamic data. Now at this point, it's still somewhat limited in what you can do in comparison to some of its more established peers on the market, but it's a really strong start, and once they release the ability to build custom loops or add additional meta fields into the existing posts element, it's going to provide a really solid starting point. Now I've dropped the relevant links into the description below, and if you found this video useful, well, why not hit that thumbs up button? If you didn't get value from the video though, feel free to hit the thumbs down button twice, as that works pretty well too. My name is Paul C, this is WPTuts, and until next time, take care.